I don't read fantasy. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I think the last and the only fantasy book I ever read was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, because everyone told me if you want to get into fantasy, read this book. But I ended up not understanding a thing. I read this like 2 years ago and मुझे कुछ भी नहीं याद है इसके बारे में. I just remember the character's name, Jude and Carden. I remember Jude is immortal. Let's just say I wasn't really involved in the book and the characters because I just did not understand the plot. And after reading this, I kind of was scared of the fantasy genre as a whole because, again, I did not understand it. But now, there is this one book that everyone keeps talking about on Book Talk and on BookTube, which is Fourth Wing. मैंने जिंदगी में एक book की इतनी हाइप नहीं देखी है by multiple people, multiple book talkers, and I was just like, even though I do not understand fantasy, I will give it a go because this has been like one of the most highly rated books of this year and I just want to know इस book में है क्या ऐसा. So going into it now, I don't know what this book is about. I just know there are dragons involved and that's it, which means it's fantasy. मुझे डर लग रहा है that I will end up not understanding it and eventually not liking it. It is hard for me to get into fantasy because I am not aware of the world and I cannot just make the world inside my head because I'm not that avid of a reader when it comes to fantasy. So I don't know what my reaction will be to this, but you guys will come along with me and let's start reading Fourth Wing. I came to Coffee Bean for nashta and yes, I brought my mini mic because I need to talk about this. लेकिन यहाँ पे म्यूजिक चल रहा है तो I am not sure how much I can talk about. But नाश्ते के साथ कॉफ़ी के साथ we will read this. I am on page 52. मुझे लग रहा है मुझे कॉपीराइट आ जाएगा बहुत ज़ोर से. I'm back home. I really wanted to talk about the Fourth Wing there because the story is so good. I haven't even gotten to the half of it and I'm in love with the story. Starting में इतनी कोई interesting है, even though मुझे लग रहा था personally I would not understand fantasy because the world building takes time and मैं ना fantasy पढ़ते पढ़ते दूसरी दुनिया में चली जाती हूँ. उस book की दुनिया में मैं नहीं जाती, मैं अपना ही सोच रही होती हूँ because it just does not make sense in my head and मुझे मुश्किल होती है to understand the world that is written in fantasy books, but not in this book. This book is different. I swear to God, I'm like almost 80 pages in. Bro, I am literally obsessed with Violet. मुझे नहीं पता क्या सीन है इस बंदी का, but she's the girl I want to be because she's average, she's normal, लेकिन she has the will to go through stuff that I don't, and I need that in my life. Anyways, basically the story starts with Violet and she wants to go into the scribe quadrant, which is basically history and books, and उसमें कोई इतनी physical power चाहिए नहीं होती. But her mom, who is the commanding general for the dragon riders, she's like नहीं, हमारे खानदान में सब ड्रैगन राइडर्स बने तो तुम भी बनोगी. She has a lot of doubts about that because she does not feel like she's the one जो ड्रैगन राइडर बन सकती है. Obviously she has a lot of self doubt and she has a trauma of losing her brother because he wanted to become a dragon rider और वो टपक गया. Her sister is also, I think, in the third year of becoming a dragon rider and she motivates her as well. तो she decides कि ठीक है, मैं अपनी अम्मा की सुन लेती हूँ, मैं अपनी बहन की सुन लेती हूँ और मैं dragon rider बन जाती हूँ, even though I don't have the physical power to become a dragon rider. Also book के अंदर बहुत शुरू में ही we get to find out about her enemy. Basically there is a wing leader Zayden and उसके wing के अंदर Violet चली जाती है somehow and she finds out that उसके अब्बा को वायलेट की अम्मा के ऑर्डर्स की वजह से मारा गया था. and Zayden is like one of the biggest enemies of Violet. But Violet is not sure about that. पक्का पक्का नहीं है because there are so many enemies. So basically जितने भी बच्चे Dragon Riders बनने आए हैं, they all just want to kill each other because there is just too much competition and everyone just wants कि सारा competition खत्म हो जाए. So there is just high stakes all over and I love the high stake trope. I don't know, जब भी high stakes होते हैं I go crazy because there's no reason. I just love the high stake trope. Right now this is the story. I'm not going to give out spoilers, don't worry. Lekin I'm really enjoying this. Also there is romance in this and it's good. It's written really well. तो अभी हम आगे पढ़ते हैं. I think I'm going to come and update when I'm halfway through the book because it's a fat book. It's almost like 500 pages. And मेरी ये बहुत बड़ी book एक है. If the book is above like 400 pages, I don't want to read it. Why does a book need to be like more than 500 pages or 400 pages? So anyways, this was the update for now. I'm loving this book. अगर कुछ खास होता है मैं आके update दे दूंगी वरना I'll come back when I've read half of the book. Guys, I am more than halfway through the book and I don't know how to explain my feelings because this book is going to be the death of me. It is making me feel things that I have never felt before. For someone who does not read fantasy and does not really go around that genre, it's saying a lot. Remember how I was talking about that Violet is Zayden ki sabse badi enemy? Well, he still has reasons to dislike her, but he just does not. So I did not expect at all कि इसके अंदर enemies to lovers होगा. But you know what? I'm eating it up. I don't care. It's so good that I just don't want to stop reading this. Also, one thing that is annoying, everyone just keeps dying. हर chapter में कोई ना कोई मर रहा होता है. Like I understand this book is very high stakes and there is a lot of competition in this war school. लेकिन why does everyone has to die? Anyways, right now I just read a spicy scene. So I do want you guys to know that there are some spicy scenes in it. So if you're young, please do your due diligence before reading this. I'm really enjoying the story. It's really hard for me to explain this now because I'm in the middle of the story, or if I describe it in a certain way वो spoilers हो जाएंगे. So I don't want to give out spoilers. Also, one thing I really want to discuss is how the dragons choose their riders because there are very few dragons and there are a lot of students. So the dragon bonds with a rider and eventually वो dragon forever उस student का हो जाता है. And the vibes are so cool because जो rider के पास powers होती हैं वो slowly student के अंदर जा रही होती हैं and the student gets those powers as the bond proceeds to get closer to the dragon and the student. So it's really cool. The concept is really cool. This is my first time reading a dragon fantasy, so this is why I'm really like intrigued कि ये क्या scene है. But I'm really enjoying this book and I cannot wait to finish it right now. तो मैं जा रही हूँ इसको ख़त्म करने. Okay, we need to talk. I just finished Fourth Wing like 2 minutes ago and I was like, मैं wait भी नहीं करी. I need to share my thoughts because what the hell just happened? I did not expect that betrayal. I'm not going to tell who, what, where. I just did not expect it. I don't know how to start talking about how the book ended because again there will be spoilers and I don't want to spoil the book. So let's start with actually describing my favorite parts of the books. Dragon. So at the end of the day वो बड़ा cute सा था because your dragon can communicate with you if you have a bond with your dragon. They could communicate with each other and also उसके अलावा द कोडेक्स इज काइंड ऑफ लाइक any type of like rules and regulation. So in this war school there is the codex, and there is one thing that मुझे personally बहुत अजीब सी लगी इस codex के अंदर, which was that you can kill people but you cannot steal from them. मुझे ये थोड़ा ना confusing लगा. You cannot steal from them, लेकिन अगर उनको मारना है तो आप मार दें, but you cannot kill anyone if they're sleeping. That will also be a crime. Also, one more thing that I really liked in the book was that the world building wasn't as crazy as in other fantasy books that I've read. बहुत easily you just got into the world. इधर उधर नाम थोड़े मुश्किल लगते थे मुझे, but it wasn't something that was really important or something that was part of the plot. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it a lot, क्योंकि इतना मुझे सोचना नहीं पड़ा. I just ended up reading it like the world already existed in my brain. Also, let's talk about Violet's best friend Dane. We kind of like him at the start because he's supporting Violet. He's always there for Violet and उसका main goal है कि बस किसी भी तरीके से Violet मरे नहीं, and she just survives until she graduates. He knows Violet is a little bit fragile. Violet इतना physically नहीं perform कर सकती. So start में he's always like कि please join the scribes, जो initially Violet join करने वाली थी. Scribes के अंदर you don't really have to show any physical powers. You just have to be smart because they write history वगैरह. तो he always just encouraged Violet to go to the scribes and not become a writer, because at the end of the day I thought ये बड़ी paternalistic सी इसकी personality है, like he's taking care of Violet like a parent, but in reality he was just not supportive. But let's just say I disliked Dane. Also, one thing that I think many people wouldn't really care about as readers, लेकिन मुझे बड़ी annoying चीज लगी, why were they killing people meaninglessly? Like there were so many meaningless killings and meaningless deaths that I was like, इतने सारे characters बना के उनको मरवाया क्यों? I understand the fact that this is high stakes, there is a lot of competition, but हर कोई मर रहा है and meaninglessly मर रहा है. There is no reason for their death, they're just dying. Let's talk about rating this book. I rated this 5 stars. I know this is like one of my first ever fantasy books, but it was just too easy to read. I was grabbed throughout the story. मेरा दिल नहीं चाह रहा था इस book को रखने का. I finished it. I loved the found family. I loved the romance in this. I loved the politics, the world building. I loved everything about this book. There were some things that were annoying and did not make much sense, लेकिन हम उसको बाहर में डाल देते हैं. I cannot wait for the second book because it ends at a cliffhanger. And the cliffhanger is so big that I just want to get to the second book. Like, and unfortunately, it will come out in November. So we'll have to wait way too long for the book because Pakistan mein pata nahi kab aayegi. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I highly recommend you guys reading this book. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.